Welcome into another exciting live edition of Locked On 76ers. His name is Keith Pompey. My name is Marc Farzetta. And Keith, I don't want to do anything that's going to interrupt this great train of positivity. Paul George, the latest to get praised publicly for the 10-9-8 76ers. We'll break that down and why Sixers fans should remain optimistic about it all. That's when we return on this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This particular episode is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today at FanDuel.com. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. Keith, we're aboard this positivity train as of late. Have you noticed this? It's interesting. I like this. I literally said 2 weeks ago, Keith, I just need optimism. I need positivity. And look, we call it as we see it. I never look for, all right, this is something we can be positive about. Yay. No, you got to give me something that's positive. So when national writers, pundits, whatever, rank Paul George as a second-tier wingman after only playing 41 games last year, after having an array of injuries really throughout his career, I'm going to look at it and go, oh, they're being optimistic about this. What am I missing? So you have Jared McCain as of late say he's on pace and ready to go more or less in terms of his injury. You have the most positive thing of positive things, which is Joel Embiid working out for albeit 5 seconds on that highlight reel last week, if we can even call it that. And now the Athletic has gone out of their way to say Paul George, and here's the way it works out. Paul George is a second-tier wing player in the NBA. Behind number one, LeBron James, then Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard. Those are 1, 2, and 3. Then in tier 2, with Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Jaylen Brown, and PG coming in as the 6th best wingman in the NBA, ahead of a man that had a coming out party this year in Jalen Williams for the Thunder. Keith, what do you make of this? Do you agree with it, or do you think that this is even too high praise for PG right now?
You know, it's weird. It's I don't know what to make of it. There's two ways that when you look at it, right? So, you know, before the injury, before this season, you know, Paul George was the top free agent out there on the free agent market. Like, he was supposed to be the guy to make the biggest splash, you know, for the Sixers. Like, he was, you know, LeBron James was a free agent as well, but everybody knew he wasn't going to, you know, leave the Lakers. But when you looked at it, everybody regarded Paul George as the best one. Paul George was coming off of an all-star campaign. He played well on both ends of the floor. So when you see how he is rated, you're not kind of sort of shocked just because those people are assuming that Paul George could kind of get back to where he was at. And when you look at it like, okay, Kawhi is better than him. Okay, LeBron. Okay, Kevin Durant. And let's face it, he was regarded as higher than Jaylen Brown and those other guys at that specific time, right? Specific time. But again, it's all people just assuming and speculating and everything like that because we don't know, man. Like, you know, Paul George is 35 years old right now. You know, Paul George is coming off of a knee surgery. He's had knee injuries throughout the season, other injuries throughout the season, to where he didn't look like his normal self. So we'll find out just how good Paul George is once this season came. But again, all this stuff is speculative. Everything that we're seeing, and what it is I'm not saying it's clickbait, but is extremely speculative because we don't know how healthy Paul George is going to be, or if Father Time jumped on his back and put him in a stranglehold. We don't know any of that just yet.
Right. Right. Well, here's where I'm at with it. If The Athletic is putting it out there saying that you're ranking by tier the wing players in the NBA, and you wanted Paul George all along to be a top tier wing player in the NBA, and even before free agency kicked off at the end of the season 2 years ago, Daryl Morey is asked specifically, what does this team need? And he's like, a wing. And then he just kind of stared, and everyone went, oh, they're going to go after Paul George. Like, that's how this is going to go. We understand what they're going to try to do here, because they're going to, quadruple down, as I like to say, on the Joel Embiid era and just say, all right, we got to plug in where we have a big hole, and we have a big hole at the wing spot. PG is the perfect guy for it when healthy. But to go after what you're saying here, the speculation about whether or not a player can be healthy and stay healthy, we're not going to know anything really until the season's over. Forget about even starting.
Yeah.
But what I find so optimistic about it is not only does it fall in line with some other positive stories surrounding the Sixers leading up to the season, as I mentioned earlier, Jared McCain on pace, Tyrese Maxey continue to want to take steps forward, Joel Embiid moving around without the knee brace and the svelte Joel Embiid during that workout video last week. Now Paul George is being ranked as a second-tier wingman. If you're playing 41 games and you can't stay healthy, or if your knee can't stay healthy, you're not going to be in a tier with Jaylen Brown and Jimmy Butler. And that to me is a big deal. But if you're going through an off season where you already need to get that knee scoped, that clean out, right? That arthroscopic surgery on the knee, that to me is a very bad sign that you can't go through an off season without having a surgery. But it seems like other people around the NBA, national publications as well, like The Athletic, are looking at Paul George and saying, yeah, it's going to be interesting. And they literally say in the article, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he bounces back from that offseason surgery and knee issues throughout last year, whether it was the hyperextension, the contusion, all that at the beginning of last year. The hyperextension suffered in preseason play. We're looking at it as a national publication. We're looking at it as, oh, this guy is going to give you a lot if he is healthy. So again, it comes down to the health. But when it comes to talent, they're still looking at him as a guy that could be one of the most talented wings in all the NBA.
You're 100%. That's what it is. I mean, like if like, let's say fantasy basketball, right? I mean, take all the injuries and everything out of it. It's one of those things where you look at it and you say, yeah, the 76ers can come out of the East. I mean, like, if Paul George, because let's face it, the three guys in the top tier, they were always ahead of Paul George. Like, they just were. Like, Paul George even told me that Kawhi was probably his best teammate that he played with, or the best guy to come out of, like that area too, right? I mean, because that just tells you how good of a player Kawhi is. And then you look at, Jaylen Brown and Jimmy Butler, you can argue that, Jimmy Butler has the heart. He has the will to win. Jaylen Brown is, he's starting to become a little more refined. Jalen Williams is a young guy. But you look at Paul George, I bet you a year ago, he probably was ranked higher than those three. I mean, all three of those guys, he's probably number 4 on the list, right? Because of Jimmy Butler, you didn't know. Like, okay, what's going on with Jimmy? Is he injured again? Yada, yada, the whole nine. But here's the deal. Like, on paper, yes, they are great. But these people who are coming out and ranking them as high as they are, I wonder what do they have the Sixers rated in the Eastern Conference. I wonder if a lot of people, after seeing that video of Joel Embiid and all these feel-good stories on Paul George, like, if you feel this way, then why are they regarded as the 7th or 8th best team in the Eastern Conference? You know what I mean? Because we know what Maxey has, and you add these two guys to the mix, pretty good. Now, the one thing is, it does make the Sixers fans feel a little bit not healthy, feel a little bit more optimistic, like you said in the beginning, just because of we know how he's regarded if he's healthy. But again, I hate to say it, but we, like you said as well, we won't know anything until they get out there on the floor. And then after play several games. The one blessing, the one good thing that I will say about the 76ers is a level of optimism. If these guys are healthy, is that they only played 15 games together last year, talking about the big three.
Mm.
So, there's only one way to go, and that's up if all these guys are healthy and can play.
I'm gonna say this. I think Joel Embiid plays more than 19 games, and I'm gonna go ahead and venture to guess Paul George plays in more than 41. I don't even think you have to be extremely optimistic to have that take. But to your point, and I agree, yeah, it's going to be difficult to do worse than you did last year in every aspect, from games played together as the big three, from a record perspective, from a draft perspective. It's going to be hard to do worse than you did last year. And I'm really hoping the 2025-2026 Sixers don't look at this past Sixers team and go, yeah, hold my beer. We're going to be worse than that. It's also a funny thing that leading up to the season, I can embrace optimism leading up to training camp coming up in 2 weeks now. I can embrace that. But once the season starts, it's like everything comes crashing back to reality. And it's not just about what they could do anymore. It's what they are doing during the season. If Joel Embiid's ready for the regular season opener, Keith, I'll be doing cartwheels on this podcast with you. Okay, don't just listen and download, folks. Watch on YouTube as well, because I'll be doing cartwheels on the set here with the Sixers and where they could be. If Paul George is looking healthy and knocking down 46% of his threes, all that, that's going to be something that we're all going to be doing cartwheels over. But mainly just being on the court, being healthy, and then showing signs of potential dominance again from Joel Embiid. I think a lot of Sixers fans that mainly were quiet in the offseason about their optimism for Joel Embiid will be sticking out their chests a little bit as the season starts to show that, everyone was down on these guys, but I was telling you just watch. You just watch. Everything will come crashing back to reality after the first game of the season. And if Joel Embiid's ready for that, if Paul George looks good in that, then I think a lot of people are going to be rather loud and boisterous and verbose about their optimism for the Sixers. And hey, you know what? I'll tell you this, Keith, again, and I've said this many times. I'm rooting for it, just not betting on it. But starting to get the chips a little closer to the middle of the table, though, Keith.
Yeah, it is crazy. It's kind of like the NFL preseason, right? We're starting to see it now. Now, again, you typically know who you are after week 4 in the NFL, right? Mm-hmm. But the team that I'm a fan of, the New York Giants, right? In the preseason, everybody was talking about, it's going to be different, so much different. Oh, look, they look good. They're 4-0 or whatever. Okay, man, they should have defeated the Dallas Cowboys yesterday, but as bad teams do, they lose close games. They make a lot of mistakes. They're 0-2, right? There's a couple other teams that everybody thought was going to, this is their year. They're going to be great. Look at the Jets. The Jets are going to be great. Yeah, New York, everyone's excited. They're 0-2. The Chicago Bears, they're going to be great. They're going to be great. And so it's one of those things when I read all this stuff, is always everyone comes out with their opinion, and it's good stuff to read in the preseason because everybody gets hyped up. But again, we'll find out just how good the 76ers are, just how good Paul George is. Because on paper, the Giants did seem great because you have Russell Wilson, the guy who won championships, but no one accounted for his decline over the last couple of years. And right now, I don't feel like they are accounting for what Paul George went through last season, right? So the thing is, if he can overcome that, sure, that's great. But if he can't, he's not on that level.
Yeah. Hey, look, Keith, when we do the show tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day, I'm hoping the little train of optimism just keeps on dropping nuggets of positivity as it just goes on by, just through the windows, just throwing it out to the people, doling out positive vibes going into the season. I'll be crossing my fingers for that. He's Keith Pompey. I'm Marc Farzetta. When we come back, of course, we're going to do Grimes Watch at the end of the show like we do every day. But interesting insight from, I believe it was Slater and Charania of ESPN, putting a story out there chronicling the Jonathon Kuminga saga that is certainly had its carryover into the Quentin Grimes saga here in Philadelphia. We'll talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On Sixers YouTube channel. He's Keith Pompey. I'm Marc Farzetta. Back after this. after another weekend of football. Hope you guys are taking advantage of all FanDuel has to offer. And right now, this NFL season, as it is upon us with your Birds 2-0, FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff each and every week, each and every game day with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. That's right, bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because of really however you want to bet. FanDuel has you covered in those regards when it comes to player props, when it comes to building a same-game parlay, and when it comes to jumping in as all the live action unfolds. FanDuel's got it all. It's quick, it's easy, and fast payouts as well, so you get your hands on that money as fast as possible. So, are you ready? Download the FanDuel app today by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to get started. Place your first $5 bet, and if it hits, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. So go to FanDuel.com right now and download the app at FanDuel.com. I was reading through this Sham Charania story, Keith, on ESPN.com right now, and Sham just put it out a little bit before we started the show today. And it really highlighted a lot of things that you see get brought up a lot in dragged out contract negotiations, whether that's a restricted free agent in the NBA or a baseball player going through arbitration. Like, you see all the scars, they talk about all the blemishes, they talk about all the problems. And a couple of the lines that stuck out to me from the story, which the Sham Charania, were 4 years of basketball scars between the Kuminga camp and the Warriors camp. They also talked about how Kuminga has a fierce belief in his talents in searching for a path to somewhere he believes will grant him an opportunity to flourish as an NBA player. Is there any doubt in your mind that those scars of the last 4 years with the Warriors and Kuminga, that's how the article terms them, is there any doubt in your mind that that has now impacted where the 76ers are right now with Quentin Grimes? And if those scars didn't exist, Grimes might already be here on a long-term deal already?
You know what? I think it could have some type of impact. There is no doubt, like, in my mind. Like, I can't doubt that,
right?
Because when you look at it, I mean, but when you look at it and you say to yourself, okay, well, if Jonathon Kuminga doesn't want to be there, and if they don't want to give him that option, like if they don't agree to him, coming back for 1 year was a $7-point-something million.
Yeah, right around 8.
Yeah, around that. Like, I think that leaves it open. Then you have to ask yourself, like, okay, if he's available, could that be an option for a sign and trade? I mean, it could be a lot of things, because when you think about it, I don't know if they need Paul George if they want him, but people got to realize. But you may have to come up with the money, a little bit more money, or add someone else. But when you realize it, people forget Paul George was trying to get traded there from the Clippers
LA, yeah.
From
LA to the
from LA to Golden State, and at the last minute the Clippers didn't want to do it. So when you look at it, if you're saying like, do they think that Paul George is better than Jonathon Kuminga? And if so, like, are they trying to go all in? Now, again, they have a tough time with the second apron and all that. But yeah, I think you can't say there's any doubt. And then you look at it and you may say, like, well, maybe do we grade him as higher than Quentin Grimes, right? Is he a better player than Quentin Grimes? The thing that's extremely bizarre to me is, like, why do you want Jonathon Kuminga so much? Like, and I get it. Yeah, the Warriors. And like, because the question that you have to ask is, like, if he was worth $25 million per year to you over 3 years, and let's face it, the third year is a player option, right? If he was worth that much, how come he only played when Jimmy Butler didn't play? So if you're Jonathon Kuminga, you're looking at it like, okay, well, they're telling me they're going to give me $25 million per year to play, but I don't know if I'm going to really play, right? And then with that is, well, if I can get that from them, why can't I get it from another team? So to me, it's weird because, yeah, they're trying to throw money at him to keep him, but are you doing that for the purpose of trading him, right? Or like, is he just a security blanket just in case, Jimmy gets hurt or Steph gets hurt or somebody goes down, and then you can bring him in there? Like, that's the weirdest thing for me. So I can understand a way why Kuminga is so apprehensive to go back to the Golden State Warriors, just because I may pile up some DMPs because for whatever reason, me and the coach aren't really seeing eye to eye in how good I am. So it's a weird situation to me, really.
It's a weird thing also that they're almost willing to pay him more to do less.
Exactly.
Like they might pay him the 25 million, around 25 million. I think the latest offer was 3 years, $75.2 million with the team option for that third year. Yeah, exactly. 25 year. And I respect Kuminga a lot for this because he doesn't want to, it's not all about the money for him. It's about the situation and an opportunity to play. Yeah. And look, down the line, that could lead to more money, obviously, but he doesn't want to be a pawn. And nobody wants to be a pawn, but specifically in this case, he doesn't want to be a well-paid pawn. He wants to be someone that's going to go out there and have an impact on the game. And it's twofold. It's not just about playing time or the DMPs, as you mentioned. It's also a matter of getting out there and showing what he could do for a winning team. He doesn't want to go to get traded somewhere else and, play every game, start every game, and, get 25 points a game for a losing team, which he could rack up. He wants to win in situations where it matters. He wants to be able to make buckets in situations where it matters. So I admire that about him. It's not just about the money. It's about the role, which is important to him as well. That doesn't happen enough in professional sports. So I admire Kuminga for that. And then there's also this real fine line that you're talking about with the potential trade. And the article also highlights that, saying like, yeah, okay, fine, you could guarantee more money, but then I become more tradable almost to another team that will look at me and say, they understand that I can score. They understand that I can put the ball in the basket, but I'm going to go to a team that has no chance of doing anything in the postseason. But if I stay here and continue to team up with, guys like Jimmy Butler that might be costing me minutes at the same time, and obviously a guy like Steph Curry, well, then I have a much better chance to actually win meaningful basketball games later in the year and in the postseason than I do if you were just to ship me off for another return that would fit the roster better than I do.
Well, I mean, and look at the Jordan Poole situation. So,
that's another one, sure.
I mean, you got Jordan Poole now. Again, Draymond Green kind of helped end his career in the Golden State by, punching him and having that little rift. But when you look at Jordan Poole, Jordan Poole was a guy who, he was, when they put him in there, he played well. He played great, actually, garnered him getting a pretty good contract, a really good contract. He gets traded to the Washington Wizards. It doesn't work out there. And now he's playing for the New Orleans Pelicans. So it's kind of like, you got paid, but you went to two of the worst franchises in the NBA. And unless you go out there and you do a lot of great things, you're probably not going to get another contract like you did. I mean, you may, but you're going to have to bust your tail to do it. Because when you look at it, like, scoring 20 points that he did last year, like no one's talking about you scoring 20 points and shooting 37.8% from three when you play for the Washington Wizards because you didn't play any meaningful games. And now you're going to the Pelicans, and the Pelicans are expected to struggle again. So it's kind of like if you're Jonathon Kuminga, you're saying like, man, the money sounds good if I to be a backup, but they're making it me a tradable asset to whereas I'll go to a scrubby team, and if it doesn't work out, the next thing you know, I'll get moved to another scrubby team. So, I agree with them. I mean, I really feel it. But at the same time, now what you got to do is you got to ask yourself, these are two of these guys. If I'm the Sixers, and we're talking about Quentin a little bit, and we'll get back into it. but at least we know what the monetary is. 25 million seems to be the going rate for other players. So we'll see. We'll see.
Let me ask you this. Last thing I'm going to ask you about Kuminga and its relation to Grimes before we get into full-blown Grimes watch to end the show. Is in the extremely unlikely scenario, Kuminga goes back to the Warriors on that, offer, that first offer of around $8 million. Grimes is at 8.7. In that world, again, unlikely as it is, in that world, do the Sixers just go, all right, Grimes, bottom dollar, like you're 8.7, take it or leave it? Or do they say, all right, look, we understand that you're worth more than this deal here, but here's 2 years, 15 per, that type of thing. Is there any world where you could see that potentially working out where Kuminga gets substantially less and takes the offer sheet, and then Grimes ends up taking something around that same price?
If I'm the Sixers, I want to link him in for more than that one. I mean, just because there's a lot of uncertainty right now. Like, I get it. Everybody's talking about how great Paul George is going to be. They, second tier, Joel Embiid, this and that. Yeah, you got a young guy in VJ Edgecombe and Jarrett McCain. But all those guys have a little bit of uncertainty with them. Embiid and George, we don't know what level they're going to play to due to health reasons. VJ Edgecombe, the number 3 overall pick, but right now we're basing everything off of what we saw in Summer League and potential. Jarrett McCain, he played 21-something games and he looked solid, but how is he going to do over an extended period of time, especially coming off of an injury? So if I'm the 76ers, just for security reasons, I do not want this guy to be able to become a unrestricted free agent next season. I want to get him linked up for at least several years. You know what I mean? Like 2-3
Absolutely.
years, whatever, and then maybe a player option for the 4th year, just because I need a security blanket. If everybody is healthy, he's going to help provide depth and be able to stretch the floor. But if they're not healthy, then we look at him as a guy that we can move forward with, with Tyrese Maxey, and he'll have a contract if it doesn't work out, that he'll have a contract that we could be able to move, and at a nice nice fee. So, yeah, if I'm the 76ers, I want this guy to sign a multi-year deal and not walk out, not be able to become a free agent next season.
I'm with you, but if Kuminga isn't signing that long-term deal at like 20 million plus, whatever, over 25 over the next 3 years, whatever, then I better not see Grimes sign 20 plus. I better see him more around that 15, 16 range. And I agree. I still think that they want to link him up for a couple of more years after this. All right. When we come back, we'll continue with our daily installment of Grimes Watch. This one has a little extra stank on it today. We'll be back in a second. This is Locked On 76ers. Let me tell you about 5-Hour Energy, people. Caffeine has just got an upgrade when it comes to flavor. 5-Hour Energy shots delivered tasty caffeine in 17 bold flavors. Each 2-ounce shot packs the caffeine of a premium 12-ounce cup of coffee, plus vitamin Bs. How about that? And nutrients with 0 sugar and 0 crashes. That's the best part as far as I'm concerned. Sure, the taste is great, but you never just want to come down abruptly from having that energy boost, and that's what 5-Hour Energy does for you. I absolutely love 5-Hour Energy, whether it's getting invited to be part of a foursome, whether it's getting invited to go out there on the golf course and all that. It's a great time. And also, you got to do a show, little pick-me-up right there. When you talk about 5-Hour Energy, you talk about that energy boost and that great taste. So I love 5-Hour Energy. Enough with the boring, flavorless coffee, by the way. It's time to give your caffeine a flavor upgrade with 5-Hour Energy shots. Get the favorites you love and be bold and try something new in store and online at 5hourenergy.com. That's number 5, 5hourenergy.com, or check them out on Amazon today. 5hourenergy.com. Oh, hey there, Keith.
What's good? I don't have any.
No. It's okay. It's okay. So last week you said something could be happening soon. You said maybe next week. Well, now next week is this week, and today is Monday of that next week. Is the ball getting a little closer to the new contract zone? What are you hearing? What are you feeling? What do you got?
Weird, like, because I heard that they're not even talking, like, you know what I mean, right now. So, I mean, we'll see. Oh
boy,
you know, it's weird. Like, what is it? You know, I said today's the 15th. They go to camp, or they go to training camp, I believe, on the 27th. They may, like, it's weird. I'm hearing they may practice on the 26th, then the 27th, and fly out on the 28th or whatever, to go to Abu Dhabi. But again, I still, unless they're so far apart, I still believe that something happens. I do. You know, now, you know, I mean, I believe, now again, this is just me speaking. I believe that they'll try to get something done before they go out to Abu Dhabi. Now, here's the reasoning with me. I feel like, you know, Nick Nurse has yet to have a true training camp with Amon. Think about the first year. You had the James Harden situation where James Harden was the early distraction because he said, I will not play for Daryl Morey. He misses media day. He misses the first day of training camp. He comes, but he doesn't practice. Then he didn't play in any of the preseason games. He wants to hop on the plane, and then all of a sudden he gets traded, right? Right after the first game or whatever it was, the second game.
Yep.
Then last year we had the whole Joel Embiid situation, right? Where the team, I'll be ready to play when I tell the team, what have you. Paul George gets injured. I mean, this guy needs to have a team where if you're trying to win, especially in a year that's supposed to be this important, it would be extremely beneficial if all the guys were there. Everyone was signed, and you can get them in there. Training camp is when you implement everything, you work on certain things, and move forward, right? So from that one, unless they're totally far apart, I think you got to come out and do it. And then if you're Quentin Grimes, also, you know, Quentin Grimes is an emerging player, right? He's not like, you know, on the level of Paul George. He's not like on the level of a guy who's a regular starter in this league. Like, you think that he wants to be able to be there with his teammates and try to compete for a spot, legitimately compete and get in there and do things. So with all that being said, unless they're totally far apart, I think that something is going to get done before media day. Now, again, I could be wrong. This is just my opinion based on the information that I just provided.
Yeah, I understand it's not a source telling you this, but sometimes a source is just being practical. Yeah. And everything you're saying is being practical, certainly. And I hope it's the same tact that Quentin Grimes and his camp takes. Before we get out of here, just real quick, Mrs. Sandman saying Paul George looks good in those Allen Iverson era Sixers jerseys. Hell yeah, he does. A just says go Birds. I have to agree on that. Go Birds. Eagles now 2-0 on the season. Jay Madison, what's going on? Man, can't wait until 2030 Philadelphia WNBA team. I still make the prediction, Keith. That team makes it out of the second round before the Sixers do. You heard it here first. Jay Madison also saying here, Sixers should focus on division play and only that, win their division. Every division game. Well, that's going to be tough. Every division game should be a rival game with special Sixers game night theme for home games. Win your division first. I wish.
The only problem with that, I would say that sounds great, but you remember the division. It doesn't matter if you win your division anymore. Like back in the day, if you were the division champ and someone else was like finished second in their division, and you guys had like the same record, you would finish ahead of them in the standings. Meaning, like if the Miami Heat was second in their division and the Sixers were first, and they were tied for the fourth best record, the Sixers would get the fourth seed and Miami get the fifth. They don't do that anymore. So, you know, I understand what the guy is saying, and I would have agreed with him in the past. But right about now, when we look at this division, you know, you think they'll probably sweep Brooklyn, or you hope they do. But, outside of that, what is it? That's 12 games, bruh. That's 12 games that they have out of 82. So I think they need to win a little bit more focus overall on that. It's only 12 games.
Fair enough. His name is Keith Pompey. My name is Marc Farzetta. It's been another fun-filled edition of Locked On 76ers. You guys, we hope you're liking and subscribing on YouTube and also downloading, of course, wherever you get your podcast. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta, Locked On 76ers. Can't wait to be back with you guys tomorrow, taking the next step, possibly, maybe, in Grimes Watch and adding to the positive vibes leading up to training camp. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Like and subscribe. See you guys tomorrow.